tonight. There's Open Tier 2, and the Elite Series stream is currently loading as I speak. Still loading onto the channel. There it is there. Audio is working as it should. The stream's up, the chat's up. We're all good to go, so that's absolutely fantastic. Hello everyone, and welcome to round 7 of the PlayStation Elite Series here on Race Spec Esports. I'm LaneEveringham, your lead commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at Suzuka Circuit for the Japanese Grand Prix. The figure of 8, 5.81 kilometer, 18-turn circuit was created in 1962, thanks to a joint effort between the Honda Motor Company and Dutch architect John Hugenholtz. Thanks to its popularity, Suzuka has turned itself into one of the most well-recognized racetracks from Asia and has been the home of some of the greatest moments in Formula One history. It's a tough, old-fashioned style racetrack with narrow, technical, fast and flowing corners, coupled with grass and gravel traps lining the edge of the circuit. The most noteworthy technical parts of the racetrack are the famous S's formed by turns 2 through 7 in the opening sector, the fast, tight Degner curve of turn 8, spoon curve at turns 13 and 14, and finally the most well-known corner on the circuit, 130R. Auto spin curbs are dotted throughout several of these sections, so the margins for error are very, very fine. And as a result, accidents are quite common to see here at this racetrack. There's only a single DRS zone on the circuit that heads down the main straight into turn 1, making it the main overtaking area on the racetrack. There are other opportunities at the hairpin of turn 11, known as Kobayashi Corner, and there's also one other opportunity at the final chicane at turns 16 and 17. Now, before we focus on qualifying, there is a little bit of news to go through first from last week's race in Singapore. There was a single incident report involving Plevs and ACW. ACW did receive a 5-second time penalty from that. Now, if I can find the standings, which hopefully aren't too far away, I have to search through the Discord to try and find these. There's the Elite Series. So, top 10 in the Drivers' Championship. Currently leading is Marcus Costa on 149 points, followed by F1 Ferrari Pro on 123. Silverford is third on 112, followed by Plez on 93, then Bags on 78. P6 is Hillez on 63, followed by Spicy with 60 points. Then ACW on 56, Vengeance on 54, and rounding out the top 10 is Pump in the McLaren on 39 points. In the Constructors, Williams are leading on 203, followed by Ferrari on 160, then Red Bull Racing on 134. McLaren are next on 132, followed by Mercedes on 116, then Aston Martin on 102. Haas is next on 79, followed by AlphaTauri on 63, then Alpine on 30, and at the bottom of the order is Alfa Romeo on 20 points. And that's pretty much it in terms of news. We can now focus on what should hopefully be an entertaining qualifying session. I can introduce my co-commentator for tonight, who is once again KD1997. KD, you've recently transitioned over to the wheel, and this circuit is well known as being a wheel-favoured racetrack. So what are your thoughts on this racetrack?
Well, thanks for having me again. I would say, well, for someone that's now gone to wheel for the very first time, it's actually a really fun experience to drive a racetrack like this around Suzuka on the wheel, particularly, obviously, in the S section. It's very easy to go through the corners. You don't get any delay. And plus, with this game, actually, you can use a little bit more of the curves now. In this game compared to what you did in 2021, for example. But for this track, from what I have been noticing, is that you do need some, well, downforce is mainly the key, because obviously you got a lot of high speed to low speed bend, or medium speed bends. But also you need to balance the straight line speed, because I noticed, like, apparently you do need, it's quite a big factor as well. I think I've said that quite a bit in the past, but I feel like it's also the same story with this track as well. And also, tire wear is a bit of a thing around here in Suzuka. Well, it has been in some cases, in some games, in recent past. I think it might be the same story with this as well, but we'll see it for sure.
Interesting notes there, Katie. At the moment, GeForce Pato is sitting at the top of the table with a 1 minute 29.8. We've still got a fair few drivers completing their first flying laps of the session. F1 Ferrari Pro making his way up towards the infamous spoon curve of turns 13 and 14. Marcus Costa has invalidated his lap. Not quite sure where he would have done that. Maybe he did that at the opening 2 turns. Maybe more likely he did it at turns 8 and 9.
Taking the curves, yeah. Very easy to do so if you... Well, mainly taking them wide is very easy to invalidate from running wide. Actually, 4 seconds left this session there. I was on board with him and he disappeared there. Apparently.
Yeah, a couple of drivers have struggled to connect. Zach was one of them. Another was Marvelant in the halves. He was struggling to join us. F1 Ferrari Pro goes to the top of the table, beating GeForce Pato by exactly 1/10 of a second, setting a 1 minute 29.721. ACW doesn't appear that he's now on a flying lap. It appears that he's on a in lap, although he was using battery just briefly there, so he might be actually on a push lap, but he has used all his battery and he is pretty low on fuel. Gilles comes into pit lane, did catch that he had a spin here at Kobayashi Corner, the hairpin of turn 10. Very easy to lose control of the back end of the car. As we know in this game, these cars are very traction limited under acceleration, and that's probably one of the biggest traction zones on the racetrack as they exit of the hairpin. I myself have lost it there and put it into a wall on last year's game, so I can imagine in this year's game it would be even more difficult to come out of that tight left-hand hairpin.
I would agree with, I probably would agree with that too. It's just that you, for what I've practiced in some sessions, you kind of need to go low in some case, but then you need to have a good exit by using a bit of the high point of the Kobayashi corner to find that sort of traction.
You can see there from players a very conventional racing line and out-in-out racing line, so a nice wide approach. Then he hits the apex at the middle of the corner. Then he takes a very nice wide line on the outside of the hairpin, trying to carry as much speed as possible. And he carried too much speed at the beginning of the spoon curve at turn 13. Way too much speed. He understeered wide, went off the racetrack. Fortunately, he didn't cop an invalidation. And up towards the most famous corner on the racetrack, 130R. It's quite an innocuous corner. In dry conditions anyway. In wet weather conditions, 130R, like some of the other corners in the Formula 1 world, like turn 10 at Circuit Paul Ricard or Copse Corner at Silverstone, 130R in the wet turns into quite a nightmare.
Oh yeah, you have to be extremely cautious too. Be very, very cautious. You can very much understeer wide as well to the outside curves if you are not careful as well.
Bags of Dell on a flying lap, making his way out of Spoon, heading down the straightaway towards 130R. Very short final sector. I've got no idea why the middle sector split is here. It results in probably the shortest sector on the Formula 1 calendar. It only consists of 3 corners. So it's been 130R in the chicane as Bags locks up the rears, loses the back end of the car, but he managed to catch it. And he'll cross the line to set a 30... Oh, no, a 29.9. I thought it was going to be a 30. Nope, it's a 29.9. Just under a 1 minute 30.
That's quite lucky there, apparently. Just like to have it... Yeah, because I thought he would have lost a little bit more time than that.
No, he kept control of the car. He did pretty well to gather it up at the entry of the chicane. Just lock the rears. Oh, as Silverfort uses all of the curb at the outside of the spoon curve. Gee whiz, he was very lucky to not lose control of the car there as he heads up to 130R. He's apparently purple to the middle sector. He's been in a purple patch at the moment, performing quite well. He makes his way through the Casio Triangle, the final chicane, and makes his way around the final corner, turn 18, to cross the line to set a 29.782. He goes second quickest. He is 600ths of a second behind this man, F1 Ferrari Pro.
As Whitey goes for a spin there, that was at, looks like in the S's, I believe that is.
Yeah, the entry to turn 7.
No, the Dunlop curve.
But yeah, he's lost it coming out of turn 6. It's not giving me an appropriate camera view to see if he's got damage or not, but from what I can tell, he seems okay.
Yeah, he's got no damage. He's fine. But yeah, it's just probably lost traction there coming at the end of the S's, which made some sense.
The Degner curve, turn 8. You mentioned earlier Degner curves. As it turns out, it's only one curve, Degner.
Really?
It's turn 8.
I thought that... Oh, okay. I thought there were 2.
Yeah, I always thought it was 2 until I did a bit of research. No, there's only one Degner curve, and that is turn 8. I guess thanks to corners like the Lesmos, we tend to associate both corners as being Degner, but apparently it's only turn 8. So...
Alright, well that's something to keep note then.
Yeah, turn 9 is a no-named corner, according to official sources. But turn 9, that's actually one of the corners the drivers really have to look out for, especially that outside curb.
Yeah.
Drivers, if they run too far wide on that outside curb at turn 9, the car bottoms out. A bit like what we saw at Singapore at turn 17. The car bottoms out and there's a real shot of you losing control and putting it into the wall. So drivers need to be mindful of that. G-Force Pato comes around the Dunlop curve and up towards the Degner curve. To the first sector split, he is currently down by 7/10, so he's not pushing at all. He's backed out of the lap. Pull off to the side of the racetrack to let other drivers through. Spicy making his way through the S's around turn 6 into turn 7. The Dunlop curve has been home to some of the biggest accidents we've seen of this racetrack, as the Haas has had a moment at turn 7. Who is that? Is that Hilles?
Hilles. Yes, it is. It's Hilles.
Gets out of the way there. He's currently the slowest out of the time set with a 44.3. G-Force Zach P14, Marcus Costa, our championship leader, yet to set a lap time. He'll make his way around 130 yards. ACW jumps to the top. Look at that lap time, 1 minute 29.204. That's almost matched by Ferrari Pro as he sets a 29.3. Marcus Costa makes his way around the final corner to cross the line with a 29.486. It's P3 for the championship leader.
Separate by just about 2.5 tenths between the top 3. Or over that, I should say. But still, that's close.
It is very close. Really good to see, to be quite honest. G-Force Zach making his way up towards 130R. Another one of the drivers who is yet to set a lap time.
Spicy goes third.
Yeah, with a 29.4. Jumps Marcus Costa by half a tenth. Salting himself in P3. G-Force Zach makes his way around the final turn to cross the line. Set a 1 minute 30.4. 12th quickest for the Aston Martin driver. Silverford getting ready to set a flying lap. Plebs in the middle of one. He's coming around turn 2. We're right on board the McLaren driver. Give you a tour of the circuit. Through turn 3, through turn 4, into turn 5. These curbs have been incredibly notorious for spinning drivers out. You can see there from Plebs, he's trying to avoid those inside curbs as best he can. And he gets a really nice run through the Dunlop curve. Into the Degner curve, turn 8. And he's down by just a little bit as he uses all of the outside curve there at turn 8. It appears he's still pushing on with the lap around into the hairpin of turn 11, Kobayashi corner. Third gear on the exit, short shifting up to 4th as he heads around 200R, turn 12, and up towards Spoon curve, turns 13 and 14. Braking at the 50 ball, bringing it down to 6th gear. Again, carrying way too much speed, but somehow doesn't invalidate. That's a really weird line he's taking through there, but somehow he does not invalidate on the outside of turn 13. Heading up towards 130R, he's up by 0.2 of a second, flat out through this left-hander, and up towards the Castillo Triangle, the final chicane. Turns 16 and 17, then the final turn, turn 18. He'll open DRS and cross the line. 6th quickest. He improves by 2.25 tenths of a second to set a 29.570.
Also, we failed to notice, but Pato's gone to third as well. A 1 minute 29.316.
Yeah, I just quickly caught on to that. He's done a nice lap time there. He's only 14 thousandths of Ferrari Pro, but they're still about a tenth behind ACW. Won't be easy to gather that time up. It's a very technical racetrack, so there is plenty of areas where you can gain time. But equally so, there's a lot of areas around this place where you can lose time. As Silverfort's up by 0.6 of a second. Silverfort's challenging for pole position here as he makes his way through the chicane, out of turn 17, around the final corner, turn 18, and he'll cross the line to set a 29.255. Not enough for pole, but he's P2 for now.
And I think that's his qualifying done, because I don't think he's going to have enough time to go out for another lap.
Yellow flag indicators covering the time.
There's 3 minutes to go. Okay. So yeah, no, I don't think he's got enough time.
Yeah, he needs to basically push like crazy. Yeah, it's going to be tight. Because not only does he have to make it back into pit lane, he also needs his car to be pushed back into the garage. And the game can't help but take forever to try and push your car back into the garage. It takes a long time.
And not to mention as well, you've mentioned it in your intro about how this track contains mostly gravel and grass, and well, yeah, there's no areas for you to cut.
No, there's no cheating around here. You have to stay on the black stuff because that's all you've got. There's no extra runoff area for you to try and take advantage of. The only tarmac runoff areas you have are at the exit of turn 1 and on the outside of Spoon. That's it. Oh, and 130R, that's right, as well. So... And I suppose you could technically include the chicane, I guess, but that's only thanks to the additional layout that is part of this racetrack that has a tighter chicane.
Look, hey, Latifi did manage to find a bit of that extra layout.
Yeah, he went on a different layout completely. He went on to the east short course layout that joins 130R and basically the exit of the Dunlop curve. The exit of 130R and the exit of the Dunlop curve. As Nick will duck into pit lane. His session is over then. So he decided to bail out of that flying lap, go back into the pits. That's qualifying over for the Alpine driver. So who will be the first driver to try and set a flying lap? I think it'll be Marcus Costa and Pump. The Williams and McLaren drivers are currently P6 and P10. See that Costa, he is only just under 3/10 of pole position as Silverfort does indeed retire in the pit lane. His session is over. Marcus Costa, though, he'll have one final attempt at trying to get pole position. Here's the most worthless camera angle in Formula 1 history. I'll give you a better one. We'll ride on board with Marcus Costa. Around turn 1, 8th gear, bringing it down to 5th gear. Entering turn 2, clips the apex nicely, uses a healthy amount of curb at the exit. Through the S's, turns 3, 4, a little bit of lag there. Around turn 5, then into the long right-hander of turn 6, a corner where you need to be patient. He eventually reaches maximum acceleration. Coming out of turn 7 now, up towards the first sector split. The clock says for Costa, he's up by 1/10.5. Making his way around turn 9, he now has the short stretch to Kobayashi corner turn 11. Meanwhile, Spicy making his way around turn 7. He's heading up towards the first sector split. He's got a Haas in the way. He eventually gets out of the way. Well done. As Spicy's up by just under 0.5 to the first sector. GeForce Pato making his way out of turn 2. Ferrari Pro making his way out of turn 9. Heading up towards the hairpin of turn 11. Brings it down to second gear. Does he short shift? No, he does not. He will use all of second gear at the exit of the hairpin there. ACW, third gear, short shifting to fourth. So very different driving technique from the drivers who are currently first and third in the order. Marcus Costa, meanwhile, is up by just under 0.5 second. He makes his way around the final corner with the back end skating around. He'll cross the line to set a 29.1. He jumps to the top.
Pump goes third.
Wow, what a lap time from Pump. Well done. 29.2. P3 as it stands. ACW, meanwhile, is up by 71 thousandths. He needs to find time here in the final sector. Ferrari Pro is up by 1/10. He'll come up towards the line. Has he found any more ground? The answer is yes. He's P2. It's not enough for pole. What about ACW? He crosses the line and he jumps up to pole position with a 29.093. Can anyone else respond? Maybe GeForce Pato? He's up by 3.
Oh, he's invalidating. He's cut too much. He cut way too much.
He'll cross the line to set a 28.9.
It would have been pole!
It would have been pole position for Pato, but he threw it away on his final flying lap. Similar story here with Bags as well. P11 with an invalidated lap. He'll come into pit lane and retire from the session.
Oh, that's unlucky, though. That was a hell of a lap from Pato when I was watching him, too. Until he did that.
He'd be not happy with himself.
I'd imagine.
There we are. It's ACW starting from pole position with a 1 minute 29.093, beating Marcus Costa. But what's that? 24 thousandths of a second. Not much. Separating the top two. Next is F1 Ferrari Pro, then Pump and Silverstone will round out the top five. Just like what it was in the real-life qualifying session we had yesterday.
Yeah, in a sense.
Close qualifying.
Yeah. 5,000 separated by Pump and Silverstone, by the way.
Yeah, not much. Not much at all. So
that's not much.
Quick rundown. It's ACW starting from pole. Marcus Costa will start alongside on the front row. Ferrari Pro will start P3, followed by Pump and Silverstone, then Spicy in P6. Pato, probably a devastated P7. It could have been pole position, but unfortunately he invalidated in the final chicane. Roscoe on P8, followed by Plebs, then G-Force Zach rounds out the top 10. Then we got Bags, Liddell, Nick, Powersight, YT, Giles, Marvlant, and Hillez will start from the very back. So a less than ideal qualifying session for Haas. Both cars starting at the very back of the field.
Did you get a weather forecast, by the way, by any chance?
Nope.
Okay, I have not either. So we're pretty much going to wait and see how it goes. Hopefully it won't be...
Pretty much. Well, if we enter into any complications, it won't take us an hour to try and get everything sorted.
I know.
Unlike the real life thing. Yeah, it's overcast.
But not wet, so...
Correct. So a dry start at the very least. We'll see if we'll get any rain in the middle of the event. But for now, it is nice and dry here at Suzuka. I suppose we'll get a better idea of what the conditions are going to be like based off what tyre the drivers start on. Like, I imagine it's going to be a very simple either medium hard or hard medium. But I would reckon if the rain stays away, at least in the beginning of the race, a lot of drivers will be keen to start on the hard compound tyre. If we see rain early, might see drivers on the softs, might see drivers on the mediums. So, we'll see.
Let's see. Last week was a hard dominant race. Let's see what this one will bring.
Quite right. Singapore brought about a very interesting grid. Here at Suzuka, it's still interesting, but it's an even mix here at Suzuka. Top two are starting on the hard compound tyre. Ferrari Pro, Pump and Silverstone are starting on the mediums. Spicy, Pato, Roscoe Arm and Plebs are all starting on the hard compound tyre. And there's the predicted strategy. Lap 12 to 15 to get off the mediums and onto the hard. So I've got to remember that. I'll write that down for myself. Right. So for everyone on the medium tyre, lap 12 is the beginning of the pit window. Got to remember that. Rounding out the top 10 is G-Force Zach on the medium compound tyre. His teammate Bags Liddell is starting on the hard. Same with Nick in P12. Powersight, YT, Giles and Marvlant, they're all starting on the medium compound tyre, which is quite interesting for the guys towards the back. Typically they're a lot more conservative when they come to strategy. They tend to go for the harder tyre first, try and have a nice start to the race, and try and pick up places later on. But no, a lot of them are starting on the softer of the compounds available. And then Hilaire starting from the back, hard compound tyre for him. So we got 8 cars starting on the mediums. That means we'll have 9 cars starting on the hards. Interesting. Almost a 50-50 split.
Yeah, but yeah, at least it's not too dominant. At least they get a fair mix of strategies. So probably it's going to tell. Well, if it's mixed strategies, that's telling me probably that's probably going to be
dry.
Maybe dry. Yeah. Sorry, I just couldn't get the words out
If
of my
you
mouth.
tend to see him oh well, that's not very good, ACW, to take out those bollards.
Oh, did Marcus Costa lag for you? Because he did for me on my end.
Yeah, I noticed he did lag a little bit in qualifying, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did that in the race. No, people need those apex bollards, ACW. This might sound surprising, but people don't run racing line. So, some people need to see where the apexes are, and the bollards are a sure help. And they don't respawn.
Nope. They just sit there wherever they are at.
Rightio.
They did have a family, though.
Oh, they did. Well, yeah, did. Everyone's lining up into their respective grid slots. We got 17 cars tonight, a healthy-sized field. And we're just waiting patiently. There we go. Everyone's now lined up, ready to race. We got 5 red lights. And we are underway here at Suzuka. It's a nice start from Marcus Costa. He has the inside line heading down towards turn 1. And he will take the lead. Here we go into the opening right-hander. He's in front of Ferrari Pro, who has moved into second position. ACW down to third, then Pump. Spicy in P5, Silverstone P6, then Pato in 7th, then Plevs in 8th, Roscoe 9th, Zach rounds out the 10 as the field makes their way through the S section, just trying to find their rhythm on these...
Oh, power sights off.
Oh,
power
dear.
sights off. Yeah, that was at the end of the S's there.
Well, fortunately for him, he's still very much in this race. Only 3.3 seconds behind. We've got a long, long race in front of us. Bound to be some sort of drama at some stage. Into turn 11, the hairpin. You can see Pump trying to look down the inside of ACW, trying to find a way by. Spicy not too far behind either as Zach overtakes Roscoe Arm. That was for P9. Hillez overtakes Giles. That was for P14. Up towards the spoon curve go the leaders. Costa still leads, and you see that lag just briefly there as he moves about the racetrack. It'll make things difficult for Ferrari Pro to try and find a way by. Hopefully nobody gets shafted thanks to it either. Down towards 130R, absolutely flat out through this left-hander. Missing the apex, though, running wide goes Costa. Gee whiz, he ran very wide there.
Oh, he did all right.
Gee
Missed
whiz.
it by missed it and then some.
As we head back onto the main straightaway to complete the first lap, Costa still leads by 0.2 of a second to Ferrari Pro, who is closing the gap, although the interval is glitching out and it's not giving us appropriate information. It will fix itself sooner or later. ACW still hanging on to P3, Pump and P4, Spicy 5th, then Silverstone, then Pato. These two have not stopped battling. Nick and Bags, they were battling through the opening 2 corners. P11 and P12 at the moment. Behind them, Whitey and Hillez fairly close together as they head through Dunlop Curve up towards Degner Curve. All running wide.
Whitey.
That was Whitey.
Yeah, at the exit Dunlop Curve.
Through Degner into turn 9. A bit of understeer there from Hillez at turn 9. Couldn't quite hit the apex.
Ferrari Pro trying to go around the outside of at Kobayashi corner. Oh, he's alongside the Williams. As they head towards Spoon. Oh, they make wheel contact!
Off the circuit briefly goes Marcus Costa there. He went and toured the grass just ever so briefly. You can see the dirtiness on the left-hand front. So he loses a little bit of ground to Ferrari Pro. Hopefully that interval fixes itself. It's quite annoying that this glitch is still in the game after all this time. But I don't have any hope that Codemasters will ever fix this thing. So through the Cassio's triangle. See there, Costa clobbering turn 17, using all of that inside curb, and now the gap is at 0.7 of a second. Good to know. But Ferrari Pro needs to take advantage of this opportunity as Pump goes down the inside at turn 1, taking P3 away from ACW. Why are we still on this camera angle? Why are we still on this camera angle? Oh my god, this game is just astonishing. I was waiting for the game to change. I wanted to keep an eye on Pump. No. You can go and look at this weird camera angle for like an eternity. That's good.
Yeah, that's the game for you. We're not surprised anymore by that.
No, neither. Silverstone 0.2 behind. Spicy runs wide there at Degner. Coming around turn 9 underneath the overpass. And into turn 11. Does he send it? Oh, Silverfort, he thought about it. Spicy left him room. So if he committed to the overtake, he had room to try and pull it off. But Spicy gets all that drive out of the hairpin. And he hangs on to P5 for now. But yeah, this is Ferrari Pro's opportunity to try and pull away. He's on the medium compound tyre. He's now in clear air. He needs to push.
But he has used a lot of his resources, and Marcus Costa, well, we know how he's been in the past with his resources. He's got 80% or less than about that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because he's got pump closing in, who's also right behind his gearbox. Well, close to it, I should say.
On the medium compound tyre, will be a similar story with Ferrari Pro. He needs to get in front, try and pull away from those behind. That's sort of the idea of being on the softer tyres, making up ground early in the race, then compensate later on. You can see Marcus is hanging on, missing the apex though quite considerably at turn 2, but he gets a nice enough exit that that pump can't
Oh, Plebs! Plebs is off at turn 2.
Spinning out there.
Yeah.
He rejoins behind Marvelant, leaving room for Plebs there. So Plebs down to P15 with that moment at turn 2. But yeah, Costa wasn't too compromised with that wide line at turn 2. He managed to hang on quite well. Pump wasn't able to capitalise on him missing the apex. Through the Kev. Keep a brief eye on this, because I imagine Pleb would like to get a move on back up through the field as soon as possible. He's not close enough to the Haas to try and dive bomb into the hairpin. Yeah, not close enough at all. Let's see here. GeForce Zach trying to stick to the back of GeForce Pato. You can see the medium compound tyres on the Aston Martin, the hard compound tyres on the AlphaTauri. And down the straightaway towards 130R. Yeah, Pato's got some decent straight line speed in that AlphaTauri. Zach unable to close up. Plebs overtakes Marvelant as well for P14. Out in front though, it's Ferrari Pro leading the way. 1.5 seconds back to Marcus Costa, still with one of the worst camera angles on the game. I have no idea why that is a camera angle. Just looking back at the helmet tells me nothing. Absolutely nothing. But anyway.
They just wants to give you a good look at the driver, you know?
It's a bit like sometimes during qualifying, the game gives you an onboard shot when it's meant to be an outboard shot through the S section.
Yep.
Completely ridiculous. And that's been a thing for a while as Silverfort's attacking Spicy here, heading up towards turn 8. Now up towards turn 9. You can see the Red Bull closing in bit by bit. Can Silverfort line up a pass here into the hairpin of turn 11? He looks to the inside, commits to it. Spicy leaves room, but yeah, Silverfort needs to commit harder down the inside. Needs to really try and send it. Like, Spicy isn't an easy guy to pass. I know that all too well. But Silverfort, he's on the grippier tyre. He needs to be more committed, I think, down the inside. Because Spicy, obviously, is willing to give room. He's done it twice now. So yeah, send it in. Pull the car up. Spicy will see you coming and he'll leave the door open. So.
Well, towards the front. Gap's slowly decreasing a bit there.
Yeah, quite right, KD. It's now 1.3 seconds instead of 1.5. So Costa's doing well on those hard tyres. And Ferrari Pro... Oh, as Silverfort gets a 3-second time penalty as he drops behind Pato. So he's made a mistake and it's cost him a place now. He's got even more work to do. And he doesn't have enough momentum down the main straightaway to try and retake P6 from Pato. We saw it earlier with GeForce Zach. Pato's got some decent straight line speed in that AlphaTauri, so he won't be an easy customer to pass.
And Plebs... Oh, Nick! Nearly had a bit of a tangle there at the exit of turn 2. Nick ran a tad bit wide there. But yeah, left the door from both Plebs and... Oh, hang on a minute. Silverfort's around.
Oh, it's Roscaron.
Yeah.
2 drivers off at turn 7. See Roscaron trying to get out of the way. Here comes Whitey.
That's close there between Parasite and Silverfort. Whew. He nearly ran to the back of him.
We all get through. It's okay. We all get through.
Yeah.
Everyone's still running.
Yeah, thankfully.
But no, that's quite a common sight to see at turn 7, isn't it? Car spinning out there. It's quite a nasty corner.
Oh yeah, very easy to lose the traction.
Plev's overtaking Giles down the inside here at the spoon curve. So he's back into P10. So Plev's on a charge, trying to make his way back up through the field. Now back up in the top 10, but he's got 3.6 seconds to close up to the next car, which is Hillez. Silverford overtaking Marvelant. That was for P13. Marvelant, will he counter? Looks. Doesn't commit to it. Cutting plenty through the chicane. You're able to. You're allowed to. And here comes Powersight. Now on the back of the Haas. Look at Marvelant's car. It's got good straight line speed. So he'll hang on to P14. Powersight has to stay back in 15th position for now. Quite a common thing to see here at Suzuka. Just cars not getting enough momentum to try and pass. Especially in the middle of a DRS straight. Yellows are out again. It's whitey.
Whitey. But, yeah. Just pretty much following one another, pretty much.
Yeah, follow the leader.
Yeah. And consume the derriere of the car in front, pretty much. As it's always been.
Not quite as noticeable as what it was in previous games, but it's still very much a thing. So,
oh, yeah. And
Whitey's
someone's
crashed.
made a mistake. Yes, he has. At the exit of turn 6, I think that is.
No safety cars of yet. Oh.
Maybe he went on. Probably the car went up to the grass. Silverford's going to probably lose a couple of positions here. Marvelant's on the inside. Yep, there he goes. Yeah, he made a mistake there coming out of Kobayashi corner.
Yeah, I noticed a bit of shuffling here. Yeah, now Silverford down to 13th place. He has to re-overtake Marvelant. Here he goes, using up a ton of battery. Marvelant leaving the door open on the outside. And he gets it done. Into P13. He returns to P13.
Well, probably a shame for Silverford is that he doesn't have his goldfish helmet like he had last week.
Yeah, no, it might be costing him a few turns.
Yeah, probably.
Need your lucky helmet.
Meanwhile, though, top 2 separated by nearly a second.
Yeah, Costa's closing the gap. Well, I mentioned on the formation lap, the pit window for the medium tyre was lap 12 to 15. We're closing in on that pit window. So the medium tyres, obviously at this point, aren't feeling as great as what they once were at the beginning of the race. So they're starting to really wear out and the pace is starting to drop off. Meanwhile, on the hard tyre, the hard tyre is sort of entering its purple phase now. So Costa, even though he's on the harder compound, he's now starting to close the gap.
And I think also, if I remember doing qualifying, I was watching Marcus's runs. Compared to the top 5, he was actually the quickest in the straight line. Remember reaching speeds of 325, I think it was.
396, about 306. He's about 10 kilometers an hour quicker down that straightaway heading into 130R. And he's in DRS straight. He's gained so much time through that final part of the lap. He's in DRS range now and just set fastest lap.
And watch how much he's going to close here.
Look at the speed. He's going down the inside of turn 1. Into turn 2 we go. Ferrari Pro trying to hold it on the outside. Oh, and Costa loses the back end. So the fight has to end. But that is a straight line speed in that Williams. It's a bullet train in a straight line. But Ferrari Pro, he's quicker through the corners. He has a higher downforce setup. So through the S section, he builds up 6.5 tenths over the Williams driver. But throughout the rest of the lap, Costa's going to try and close in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's the difference right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been noticing that too. It's like when there was about 1.6 seconds at one point, let's say at the end of the middle section in the early laps, and that Marcus Costa would gain that back by just about 4 tenths because of that straight line speed. So, yeah, he's got some pace in that thing.
I don't think there's anything Ferrari Pro can do in this particular situation. Like, Costa's going to close in by like a couple of tenths down this straightaway alone. I mean, here we go. Down the straight. Up towards 130R, we're seeing speed of 290, 294. Here we're seeing 305, 307, 309. It's ridiculous, the speed difference. And he has quite literally closed in by 2/10. Didn't use battery. Neither driver used battery. That's just the raw speed that setup has.
Yep. And watch it. And watch this.
Ferrari
Here we go, DRS.
To the inside to try and cover the inside line. Costa, he goes to the inside anyway. Down he goes. Ferrari Pro fights on the outside line, heading around turn 2, but Costa gets the nose in front. Heading into turn 3 now, Ferrari Pro has to back out of the fight. Costa has taken the lead at the beginning of lap 10.
Yeah, not much that Ferrari Pro could have done about that, really.
No. Tried to send it around the outside to his credit, but yeah, those tyres have seen better days. They don't have the grip anymore.
Oh, meanwhile, toward the back, though, Silverfort's been a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, there's a 4-car fight here coming through the S's. Marvlin, Silverfort, Powersight, Roscoe, all very tightly packed together. Heading around Dunlop Curve. Up towards Degner. Silverfort all over the back of the Haas, but can't find a way through. There is Powersight and Roscoe as well. Up towards turn 10, and then the hairpin at 11. Big old lock up there. Running wide is Marvlin. Oh, and not great traction from Silverfort as Powersight and Roscoe tried to battle for position there. Powersight hangs on to P15, but he's now lost a second to Silverfort. Got a bit of catching up to do. Roscoe all over the back of the Alfa Romeo. Nick closing in on Charles as well. Yeah, okay, this is a big undercut.
Yep.
Remember, the pit window was lap 12 to 15. This is 2 laps early. It's quite a bit in 50% terms.
Yeah, I think he'll still make it.
I reckon he would too. I just want to see if this will actually benefit him, because we've seen in this game sometimes undercuts really just don't work. Something that we saw at Singapore in particular. Undercutting just really didn't work.
Yeah, and plus he's, well, same story as we've said. He has to get those tires up to temperature as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks to the new changes.
Nick attacking Giles down the inside of turn 4. Oh, gee whiz, you got to be very careful when you try and battle through this S section. You have to be on your toes if you want to drive side by side through there. Because if you're not, you're going to spin and more than likely be involved in an accident. Silverfort can't fight around the outside. I don't know why he even bothered to try and fight there. You might as well give in and just let the guy in front take the racing line. There's no point battling side by side through Degner. None at all. Round the hairpin. Silverfort awfully close to the back end of the Alpine as they head around 200R and up towards the Spoon Curve. These guys quite close enough to try and send it. Nick 2.5 tenths behind, but that's too far away to send it here at 13. He can try and get a nice run though through 14. That's exactly what he did. Giles ran wide there at the apex. Nick closes in, but so does Silverfort. Down the straightaway towards 130R as Pump pits in. Up towards the flat-out left-hander. Silverfort round the outside. He has to use the runoff area there as they head into the chicane. Silverfort dives it in deep. And Nick has the inside line here, but oh wow, Silverfort keeps the fight alive and he gets in front. Credit to him. Oh, and hello, Roscoe. Oh. Look at the straight line speed. Incredible.
Wow.
He's a cheat code in a straight line. What was that? He overtook 2 cars like it was nothing. I thought the battle was over, and here comes Roscoe flying like a bat out of hell, and he moves himself into P11. All right. Some guys have got some pretty quick setups in a straight line. They're willing to sacrifice time here in the first sector for benefits elsewhere, and it's proving to be beneficial in the race. So, but now Silverfort, he closes in on Roscoe. Silverfort runs wide though. That cost him a little bit. So they head into the hairpin of turn 10. Meanwhile, up at the front, Pato, Spicy. Pato's got 80% battery. Spicy, 14% next to his name as they go around 130R. Bit of a lift there. Just a hint of a lift from Pato. Yellows are
Oh,
out.
Roscoe on.
And Giles.
Ooh, interesting. That's a boot.
Another crash involving 2 cars. And another accident that Roscoe Arm's involved in, so...
Oh, that's quite unlucky. But, interesting. But, yeah, down to 15th place because of that.
Zach onto a set of hard compound tyres. Pato keeping this battle alive between himself and Spicy, only half a second separating these two. Zach will come out in front of Giles by quite a bit. So he's got clear air behind and in front. Allow him to push just a little bit. Pump trying to catch up to Nick. Hillez catching up to Bags Liddell as they head towards the hairpin. And again, this battle for P3 still ongoing, though Pato has lost time coming out of the hairpin. They head up towards the spoon curve. 0.6 of a second separating these two. Costa out in front, minding his own beeswax. 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds to P2. That's a big gap.
Oh yeah, he's got more pace compared to ACW. Seems, thanks to that straight line speed, ACW just doesn't have that in comparison.
Yeah, Costa's just got all the cards right now. He's got track position, he's got rhythm, he's got a bit of resources, 35% battery, which is more than enough considering this game. ACW, he's a little bit lower on 25%. Into the pits goes Bags Liddell. The other Aston Martin is in. And he'll move on to... Yeah, that is early, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought that's quite early, but okay.
He's in for a set of medium compound tyres. He has to do 14 laps on the things. Well, again, according to the game, you could do... The pit window was lap 12 to 15. So they can do 15 laps according to the game. This pump gets by Nick at a rapid rate of knots there. He got him well before turn 1. Pump into P8. It was a high-speed pass, if ever I saw one. Around turn 10, up towards turn 11. Pato still trying to apply pressure, but he's just sort of stuck there in P4, unable to go anywhere at the moment. Just stuck.
Yep.
And all the other gaps are pretty big at this point, which is unsurprising. We're in the middle of the pit cycle, so hopefully everybody condenses on one another shortly.
Pretty much, and so far it's one of the closest battles on track, apart from also Pump and Asnick. Well, that's the closest in terms of gaps.
And Nick's losing time. He's now 1 second behind the McLaren driver, so Nick's going to have a hard time trying to battle Pump at this stage, and he's on significantly older tyres, so I think he just needs to drive his own race at this point. Maybe needs a little bit of luck to go his way.
Yep. Into the pits he goes.
Medium tyres at the ready, and nice clean stop. No changes made to the wing, no replacement either. So he's back out.
And Hill is Joyce too. As Ferrari Pro says, the fastest lap.
32.4, so he's on it right now. Trying to push as hard as he can. Currently P5, and he's got 6.4 seconds to the car in front, so he's got plenty of clear air. Making his way through the S's now. 5th gear, modulating the throttle nicely. Very different between qualifying and the race. You've got so much extra fuel in the car. You have to also worry about tyre life as well during the race, so you can't push to the absolute limit. Otherwise, there's a very real chance of losing control and throwing it off the road. Coming up towards turn 9, 3rd gear underneath the overpass. Heading up towards the hairpin of turn 11. Bring it down through the gears, down to 2nd gear. Get back on the accelerator nice and gently. Gets a nice exit as well as he heads around 200R. And already he's closed in by 0.8. KD. He's now 5.5 seconds behind Plebs. He's pushing.
Yeah, he's pushing. It's a 21, but right now I'm looking at the gaps between him and the leader. 21.2 separated between him and Marcus Costa as he decides to go into the pit lane. I reckon this will be close.
I reckon this might be close as well. Fairly lengthy size pit lane at Suzuka. Fairly lengthy size main straight. You can see here pulling up to his garage. Medium tyres at the ready. So he's waited a long time to put these on, and now he can push straight to the end. Keep an eye on that red dot. It's coming onto the main straightaway now. Costa is just about to leave the pit lane. This is going to be close. Who's going to come out in front? It's going to be Ferrari Pro at turn 1. So Ferrari Pro returns to the provisional race lead. But Costa's on fresh mediums.
And he'll make the most out of those memes as well. Yep.
Off the circuit goes Ferrari Pro. He runs wide at turn 6 and throws it into the gravel trap. He throws away a chance for the race win. Oh my goodness me.
Wow. He just lost the back end. That's what happened. Back end just lost it, and yeah, he went into the grass. Oh my goodness.
Giles, a 5-second time penalty for speeding as he proceeds to retire from the race. He's had enough here at Suzuka. Yellow flags are out again. I think that might have been Silverford and the Red Bull bringing those out.
Still sector 3. That's probably because of the...
there were yellow flags at 7. I did notice that.
Okay. So, yeah, that's true, yeah.
But anyway. But, man, Ferrari Pro did all that hard work to get back into the provisional lead, but then threw it away. Through the S's. He'd be gutted with himself. Costa now has a free kick at this.
Oh, yeah. And there's a 2-second margin between those two. And Costa's going to push like hell on those mediums.
He's allowed to.
And he's already... Oh, yeah. Well, he's already doing it. He's consuming a fair bit of battery there in the main straight. Sector 3 yellows again. For what?
Hillers and I think one of the Aston Martins.
Yeah, you got both of them in the back of the bus.
Well, you can see GeForce Zach for some reason doesn't have DRS, and he's in the middle of this group. So I think he made a mistake and put Hillers into P8 in front of him through the chicane. So a simple mistake. He's still in the race, no obvious damage either. Yellows are out again. This time it's Roscoe.
Oh, poor fella.
Not having the best of nights.
Nope, it's one of those nights apparently. We've all been there, done that, getting through these nights.
Marcus Costa, meanwhile, building a margin. 2.2 seconds is now the gap between him and Ferrari Pro. It was going to be a bit of a tall order for Ferrari Pro to hang on to the race lead, simply because of the fact that Marcus Costa has so much straight line speed in that Williams. Like, it was going to be really, really tough. Like, when you got a straight line speed advantage as well as a tyre advantage and a battery advantage. Look, Ferrari Pro 6%, Marcus Costa 38. It's a big battery advantage. Like, all the cards were in Costa's favour. The only thing that was in Ferrari Pro's favour was track position, and that was it. And unfortunately, he threw that away at turn 6 as Costa sets a new fastest lap, a 31.5. He's now almost 3 seconds in front of Ferrari Pro. Now, Ferrari, his attention must turn now from Costa to ACW. 2.7 seconds. Yep, turn 2.
Turn 2, spiraling out. Spicy has the inside.
Contact!
Oh, they made contact! Ooh.
Oh my, giddy aunt. That was close. Somehow they get through. Pump's hanging on. Spicy has fresher tyres, softer tyres. So does GeForce Paddo, who is sitting at the back of this battle, just watching along. Through Degner. Up towards turn 9. Down to 4th gear, short shifting to 5th. You can see the drivers avoiding that outside curb. Really, really nasty, that outside curb. See Paddo braking quite early. He doesn't want to brake into the two in front of him at the hairpin. That would look quite embarrassing. Around 200R, heading up towards Spoon. You can see how fast the top those two in front are. But Paddo, though, as we saw, he's got decent straight line speed in this car. Oh, a late apex there from Pump. It's a nice run onto the straight. But Spicy's in the slipstream. Oh, I'm moving a little bit, just a little bit. They head around 130R. Here comes Spicy. I don't think he'll attack him here. No real need to.
He did.
He
look for a
tried to dummy him, I reckon. He was just but he dummies himself at the exit of the chicane, losing the back end. So through goes GeForce Pato into P6.
Yep, and he's just pretty much just got like that with that momentum.
Yep. Nice simple overtake there for Pato. Didn't have to do a thing. All the hard work was done by Spicy in that overtake. Lost control, gathered it up, and through went Pato.
Yeah, well, a bit unorthodox, but it's what it is.
Pato won't mind one bit. He's into P6. Now he has a shot at pump, potentially for a top 5 finish. Although, looking at his performance from qualifying, that's not what he was looking for in this race. He had pace.
Oh, no. He did. It's just unfortunate he invalidated at the Casio Triangle.
Yeah, that sucks. That always sucks. It's always those final parts of the lap that catch you out. It's always the final bits. It's never the toughest bits. It's just the final bits. And this is particularly well known at a racetrack called Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It is incredibly notorious where you set a really good lap, but you know in the final sector there's a wall of champions chicane. You just know as Plevs pits in from the race lead.
Yeah, he tried to gamble for a safety car after what happened.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, nothing came. And he's got soft tires that they're ready to burn. But yeah, a circuit like Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, where you got tall curves there, that world champion chicane. That's just one of the worst bits of that track. Or actually, the worst bits of the track.
Without a doubt. I completely agree with you. And down the inside of turn 3 goes GeForce Pato. He's into P4, pumped down to 5th now. So Pato, he's got 4.6 seconds of clear air to just try and push. I reckon he's going to do exactly that. Try and build a margin, and if he can, maybe catch up to ACW. He had decent pace here in quali. If he can try and extract it here now, do himself a big favour. But that's a big gap to catch up to ACW. So, just a note as well, that gap hasn't really changed between the top two. It might be that Costa just trying to conserve a little bit. Maybe get ready to attack towards the end. Maybe try and get fastest lap if he can. Yellows are out. It's maybe power sight. Oh, he's in the wall. Broken front wing. No safety car again. Interesting. Typically, with stuff like that, we see a safety car. We haven't seen one in today's race. Not one. It's been a safety carless race.
Yeah, probably Bermelander just taking a bit of a vacation, I suppose.
A vacation, yeah. I reckon you might be right. He's off somewhere right now.
I think he may be in a sushi coma.
Yeah, maybe. Now, let's see. Pump, still within a second, so he gets DRS to try and keep Spicy at bay, but eventually that gap's going to grow as Plevs overtakes Zach quite simply. He's into P9. Next is Bags, but he's got a bit of catching up to do, 3.2 seconds, and those soft tyres are not going to last incredibly long. So he needs to make the most of what he has now before the tyres fall off a cliff, which they more than likely will.
Yeah, they're only good for about a couple of laps until they're done.
Yep.
Knowing this game, and of course with these cars as well. 2.3 seconds though. The gap did shrink just a tiny bit as yellows are out.
That was Roscoe
into the pits.
Same with Power Sight. They're both in. Battle is on now between P5 and 6. Spicy on the back of Pump. Pump holding firm in P5 as they head around turn 14 and onto the straightaway, heading up towards the infamous 130R curve. Sitting in the slipstream, not using any battery, just using the natural power of the slipstream. Round 130R, big lift there, big old lift. Definitely take it flat if you want. No, there's a big lift. Out of the chicane, around the final turn. And you'll open DRS, use a bit of battery as well. Pump doing the same. Down towards turn 1, Spicy's got momentum. And he can't find a way by. Pump parks the car in the middle of the road, preventing Spicy from finding a way past.
And there is a lap car that just went by there. Hello, power side. Well, just watching getting lapped by Ferrari Pro. Yeah, that's quite unfortunate. But yeah, it doesn't seem like we've got too many other battles apart from just the top, for 5th. Maybe 7th as well, but Hilla's got a penalty. So...
Well, Ferrari Pro's trying to keep himself in it. The gap's still hovering at about 2.2. It hasn't extended by a great deal. But looking at the battery life, I can't help but think that Costa, all that he's doing is just trying to be a bit conservative. Not push too hard. Just keep the margin he's got.
I mean, you say that, but then he used about 10% of battery on the back straight. So... maybe it's just... looking just to maintain the gap, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's strange. Because Ferrari Pro, he's doing well to keep as close as he has been to Marcus. Like we stated, that car has got some pretty good cornering capability. Marcus has got the straight line speed. So Ferrari Pro, I think even now, he might have the advantage on those hard tyres as Spicy gets by Pump. And he moves himself into P5. He's now in the top 5. Bags getting by Hillers as well. At turn 1, he's into P7. And Plebs is closing in. He's within a second of Hillers. Within 7/10 of a second, to be more accurate. So we've got a 3-car fight for P7. Pump, he'll try and hang on the back of Spicy. Try and keep this battle alive if he can. And in front, the gap's still fluctuating. It's 2.3 now, as Silverford gets a 3-second time penalty. What might blow things out of the water is if Marcus gets a 3-second time penalty himself. Because then the race is definitely on between the top 2.
Well, let's see here. Ferrari Pro has got no warnings. Marcus has none either.
Interesting. So these two have kept it pretty tidy over the course of this race, so... neither of them will get a 3-second time penalty unless they really screw something up.
ACW, though, has a warning in the top 3.
Interesting.
So...
Bags has spun.
Oh, dear. Bags. Yep. That's a spoon, I think. Yep, that's a spoon.
The apex of turn 14. Plebs now closing in on Hillers. Gap's 0.2 of a second as Plebs tries to find a way by. Oh, and understeering off is Hillers. Cuts the track and rejoins down in 8th place. Overshooting the chicane, and he goes into pit lane. And gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding.
And the other old fight, that's from Roscoe. I'm just going off the gravel trap.
Oh, I see. He's trying to get out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, lane cars through.
And getting a 10 second. This isn't the first time that Roscoe has gotten that.
I love this game so much.
10-second time penalty for losing about 30... oh, there's another 3 seconds. This game doesn't like him at all.
I don't think so. I'm not laughing at you, Roscoe. I'm laughing at the game.
10-second time penalty for getting out of the way of everybody. Trying to be the better person in all of this. And also doing a bit of lawn mowing, which I'm sure the owners of Suzuka are very appreciative of. But still, the game gives you a 10-second time penalty. Unreal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey. They should have been more appreciative of the fact he's in an AlphaTauri. And they actually used Honda. They actually, this weekend, I think they had Honda now actually back on their car. Well, the branding of it on the car. Obviously, I know it's Red Bull powertrain, but... yeah, it was just for this weekend I saw that.
3 laps to go here at Suzuka. The gap at the front, 2.4 seconds. It's been hovering at this margin all the way throughout these final stages of the race. It really gives us an idea of what the battle could have been at the front if it weren't for Ferrari Pro's mistake.
Yeah, could have been, yeah, those two fighting for the win. But doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, unfortunately.
Costa's driving well out in front. He's just maintaining what he has. Keeping the car well within the margins of the racetrack. Because if you exploit the margins of the circuit, you can be quite severely punished. Such is the nature of an old-fashioned racetrack. Round 200R, up towards the spoon curve. Ferrari Pro using up whatever battery he's got left. Trying to make the most of this situation. Meanwhile, ACW, best he can hope for is P3 out there. GeForce Pato is 3.3 seconds behind. So long as ACW doesn't make any mistakes, he will hang on to a podium finish. Up towards the final chicane. Navigating it in third gear, short shifting to fourth. And around the final turn, Costa will now begin lap 26 of 27. We've got 2 laps to go in this Japanese Grand Prix. Ferrari Pro losing time. Not that it matters too much to him, as Pump gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Plevs might be able to snag P6 if he can find 3 seconds on his teammate in these final 2 laps. And look at him, he's using a fair bit of battery there down the main straightaway. Pumpy's still behind Spicy, and he hasn't let go of the Mercedes driver.
Yeah, the only thing he can hope for now is just use a bit of a toe hicker and just pull away from his teammate. Not to lose the position.
Just to try and hang on to P6, yeah. So.
Yeah. Which is obviously what he's going to do. Yep. Yeah, on the front though, it's just, like we've said it over and over again, it's just been hovering. Yeah. That same gap.
Sort of been fluctuating in between 2 and 3 seconds. It hasn't grown any larger. It hasn't shrunk any more. It's been 2 to 3 seconds. That's been the gap. They've been very, very even over the course of this race. With 2 very different philosophies when it comes to setup. Just shows you how well-rounded Suzuka Circuit is as a racetrack. When you got a guy with high downforce versus a guy with raw straight line speed, and they're both being pretty even.
Yeah,
now though, Costa has now increased the gap to 3.3. He's opening up the taps, and I think Ferrari Pro, he's just gotten out the white flag. He can't battle Costa, so he's just going to back off and take home second place. Through the S section for the final time for the race leader. Won't go anywhere near those inside curbs. See there, keeping it on the black stuff. Doesn't want to tempt fate. And to be honest, I do not blame him around this racetrack.
Yeah, especially with these curbs, like you mentioned. But yeah, he's using battery now, so obviously conserved. Now he's pushing. He's got about now over a 3-second gap. Oscrops though, so it's the new fastest lap, so he'll at least get some points involved.
Well, with 15th, he'll score 1. With the fastest lap, he'll score 2. Yep, 2's so definitely better than 1, and 1's definitely better than 0. So, he'll take it.
Yeah.
Something. Out of spin curve for the final time. Heading down the straightaway towards 130R. It's been a fine performance from Marcus Costa. Started on the front row in P2. He'll make his way through the final chicane as our race leader. He comes around the final corner to take the checkered flag. Marcus Costa is the winner of the Japanese Grand Prix. Ferrari Pro will come home in P2. ACW, our pole sitter, will finish on the podium in the wall in third. Pato fourth, then Spicy, a double points finish from Mercedes. Double points finish for McLaren. Pump P6, Plebs P7. Double points finish for Aston Martin with Zach in P8 and Bags Liddell in P9. And Silverford, I believe, will round out the top 10, even with the penalties. Nick needs to close in by about 6/10 to try and challenge Silverford. And he doesn't quite do it. Stays P11. Hillez is next, P12. He puts it into the wall. Marveland will finish his race in P13. So both Haas's will end up scoring as well. Not exactly the most exciting race we've ever had, I'd say. But it was definitely a race, KD.
At least we had something more than what we had earlier today.
And at least it wasn't delayed by an hour. So, corridor of celebration time. And it'll be Marcus Costa making his way down to the podium. Returning to the top step, and what a place to do it as well. One of the most demanding racetracks in the world. P2 will go to Ferrari Pro. P3 to ACW. Fine performance from all three.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
So, the unofficial final results of the Japanese Grand Prix. Marcus Costa returns to the top step for the first time since round 2 in the Netherlands and maintaining his 100% podium streak here in the Elite Series. F1 Ferrari Pro will end up finishing in P2. Pole sitter ACW will finish on the podium in 3rd. Pato moves up from 7th to finish 4th. Spicy P5, then Pump in P6. Plevs got driver of the day in P7, followed by GeForce Zach and Bags Liddell. Silderford rounds out the top 10, a less than ideal race for the Singaporean driver. Nick P11, followed by Hilles in P12, Marvlins in P13, then Powersight and Roscoe Arm classified a lap down. Roscoe Arm with fastest lap as well, so he'll end up scoring 2 points instead of 1. Non-finishers are Giles and Whitey, both retiring from the event. But it appears that we're stuck on this screen for at least a little while. But we'll go blue screen. We'll invite the top 3 in. Gonna have a nice little chat about what happened here at Suzuka. We'll be back in a few moments. Friends list. ACW. F1 Ferrari Pro and Marcus. Marcus. There you are. Thank you. You're all online. Unlike some people. Oh, dearie me. Yeah, we had a race today, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah,
we released it.
Hello, Ferrari.
Bobby's broken.
Oh, we're stuck on the final results screen, yeah.
Yep.
So,
good to see.
I get to have a look at this for a little bit. Hello, ACW, as well.
Hello, Lane. Hello, Katie.
Hello.
I'll just be waiting on our race. When I tell you what, seeing as we got you two here, we might as well start the interviews. We'll go from 3rd. We'll make our way up per the norm. So we'll start with you, ACW. P3 at the end of the race, which I'm sure is not exactly what you were looking for. But you did put it on pole position. Were you happy with the lap?
Nah, the lap was horrible, to be honest. It was up and down the whole lap. I'll be like a 10th up, and then it'd be like negative, and then a 10th up again.
Yeah.
It was all over the place.
Just couldn't quite get the rhythm down. Still put it on pole, though.
Yeah. I'll take it, to be honest.
Hello, Marcus, as well.
Hey, guys.
But,
hello.
Yeah, no, a pole position for you, ACW. Starting on the front row. Wasn't the bestest of starts, now was it?
I'm horrible at starts in this game. I feel like it's because I forgot to change my tyre temps. I was meant to push it up a bit. I forgot to and left on minimum. And then it was a bit mudded off the start.
Yeah,
look. It was up to temp.
It happens, especially when your tyres aren't up to temperature. Like, they become totally useless when they're outside of their optimal temperature range, so that's quite understandable. But now, how was your race after the start, on your end, anyway?
It was okay. I felt like I had good pace. The car felt alright, but everyone around me had like so much lower downforce compared to me. I'll gain like 3/10 in sector 1 and then lose like 6/10 the rest of the lap. It was like near impossible to stick with anyone or catch anyone.
My headset decided to turn off on me briefly. But yeah, it did look like that as well, ACW, that you were carrying a bit more wing compared to some of your rivals. But and ultimately that doesn't help during the race, for sure. Gain so much time through the first sector, then you would ultimately end up losing it everywhere else. And you just can't recover from losing straight line performance. There's no way of recovering from that. But no, you managed the race pretty well from your end. Only a single warning from what KD picked up, so a tidy race on your end.
Yeah, finally a tidy race on this game. Taking a while.
But no, you got P3 in the end. Are you relieved with the result? Are you happy, satisfied?
Quite relieved, yeah, to finally get on the podium. I mean, compared to like last season, where I'll be like podium every race, fighting for the win every time.
It's definitely stepped up now, hasn't it, in terms of the competition? But no, you stepped up pretty well tonight. Ended up finishing P3. KD, have you got anything to ask ACW?
Nah, not really too much. Other than you seemed like you had a good race. Just unfortunate that you had too much wing. I did mention, I remember in the beginning, that it was going to be a balance of whether you have high downforce or better straight line speed. Well, apparently it seems like you need more straight line speed around Singapore. Not Singapore, Japan, sorry. I got Singapore in my mind for some silly reason. But anyway, congrats on P3.
Thank you.
One final question for you, ACW. Next week we're heading over to Silverstone, British Grand Prix. And it's a sprint round as well. So how do you feel heading into next week?
The last time I had a sprint race, I did horrible, so...
But it was at a new racetrack, so you could probably...
We'll remain optimistic.
Alright. Well, what about your thoughts on Silverstone, then?
Pretty good track. But, I mean, the last time I was there wasn't very fun.
Yep. But, yes! I remember now. You jogged my memory. Took me a second, but I got there. And no, hopefully no wheel difficulties for you this time around, eh?
Hopefully my accelerator doesn't break on the second last lap.
So, no, best of luck then for you next week. Hopefully it goes better than what happened last season. But for now, mate, congratulations on your P3 finish. But, we'll move on to P2. Ferrari Pro, not a bad performance from you today, buddy. A P2 result at the end of that. But first, we'll talk about qualifying. How was it on your end?
Yeah, I was pretty satisfied with qualifying, actually. Like, I knew I had a bit more pace in the car, but I think it was overall just a lot of other drivers running lower downforce than myself, so I knew I had good pace in like sector 1, the S section, but even sector 2 was alright, but just all the way down the back straight to 130R through the chicane, it was just ridiculous. Yep,
but missing out on pole by 1/10 of a second at the end, bit gutted to see how close it was.
Yeah, of course, when it's that close, I think everyone gets gutted, but I mean, it was alright. I guess you don't have the pressure up front for the race, and I still started on the clean side of the grid, so... Yeah.
Well, you made that work, didn't you? Got a brilliant start, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't mind getting, like, good stuff. Like, I always do get good starts at Japan for some reason, whether it's on the clean or the dirty side, of course, and I would get those. I don't know, it's just something to do with it. I just always get good starts around here, but no, that one was pretty nice, and yeah.
Tried to build up a margin after that, with you on the medium compound tyre compared to everyone else on the hard tyre. But eventually the pace sort of equalised between you and Marcus towards the end of your medium stint. Was the initial plan to pit early off the medium tyres onto the hard tyre?
Like, no, like going. Wait, what? Sorry, what did you say? I was, sorry, I'm just.
Was the initial plan sort of a big undercut?
Yeah, I'd say that because, of course, you get like the first lap in the hards, like just always freezing cold, and then like at me and ACW actually in the party chat, and he pointed out as the tyre wear goes on the hards, the faster it gets, and I started finding that out as soon as it got 30%. So I think when Marcus pit, I was around 20%, so I still wasn't feeling that speed. But did I get the overcut in there? Or the undercut? No, the undercut.
You got the undercut, yeah.
You got the undercut, and then you made that mistake at the S's.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Pretty annoyed about that one because I felt my pace was really good in the hards also. I was sticking towards Marcus at the end of the stint and even gaining time, so...
Yeah, no, you two were fairly even towards the end phases of that race, but yeah, we picked up your mistake through the S's. What happened?
Just some loss of concentration. I did feel like the whole car itself just slipped to me. Like I just wasn't like
quick
used
enough.
to the hards. Yeah, and I just wasn't used to them. And yeah, I think I can probably blame it on my concentration level because I was trying to just focus on Marcus behind. I wasn't focusing on front. So yeah.
Yeah, flew off the road and did a bit of rallycross, rejoined, and we saw the pace you had relative to Marcus. You were looking pretty good throughout that.
Yeah, I just reckon that like it would have been a what if. Like what if like I started on the hards? What if I would have lowered my downforce? But no, just overall I'm pretty satisfied with that. Considering the week I had last week, that was just so shocking.
Yeah, your week in Singapore was pretty average, below average. The whole time.
Yeah, I did get the P5 in Tier 1, but like, yeah, still dropped down quite a bit, but yeah.
But,
let's not focus on that.
Yeah, no. But, KD, have you got anything to ask Ferrari Pro?
Other than great job to make a recovery after your shocking last week at Singapore, making it up in this race. So we'll see how it goes for you later on. But other than that, congratulations.
Oh, thank you, man.
Final question for you, Ferrari Pro. Next week we're heading over to Singapore. Singapore. Over to Silverstone. I did exactly what you did, KD.
That was about to be my nightmare then.
We're going over to Silverstone, doing a sprint round. How do you feel going into next week?
Yeah, I'm feeling quite good about it because, like, I think, like Spain, like it's a lot of like laps that we just do around Silverstone, whether that's in time trial, Grand Prix mode, even online.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm fairly used to the track and the pace is all right around there. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we have all these S race tracks in a row. Spain, Singapore, Suzuka, Silverstone. Jeez. Throwing me off.
Yeah.
But no, best of luck then for next week. But for now, Ferrari Pro, congratulations on your P2 finish. Well done.
Thank you, Lane and KD, and also congrats to ACW and Marcus Costa.
Speaking of which, Marcus, welcome back to Victory Lane. You did it. Must be happy.
It's been quite a duration of time between races, but really happy to be returning.
Yeah, first time since Zandvoort. Maintaining your 100% podium streak, though. Gee whiz, you're doing all right in terms of the points. But before we talk about the race, let's talk about qualifying because, well, Ferrari Pro missed out by 10th. You missed out by 23 thousandths of a second. I'm sure that wasn't a great feeling in your car either, to miss out by so little.
To be honest, I don't know if it was seen, but in my first run coming through, or just at the end of Sector 1, I actually hit the curb and went on the grass and span out and almost hit the wall, which would have been a very quick end to qualifying, but managed to keep it out of the wall, so that was very fortunate. My second run was very, very poor. I think I was like P6 after everyone else had finished their second runs. Then on my final run, I really just concentrated, pulled it together, set a pretty solid lap. I think I maybe could have got that 23 thousandths, but it's all good because the front row was all I needed because I had faith and I knew that I could get a good start and lead into turn one with the inside.
Yep.
So yeah, qualifying was quite strong on the back half.
That's exactly what happened off the start as well. You got quite a nice start relative to ACW. Had the inside line as well. I guess what wasn't part of your calculation was Ferrari Pro on the mediums. Because he had a belter on those tyres. Managed to get in front. Was it just a sort of following game on your end? Just try and keep up with him on those opening laps?
Certainly. I knew that the guys behind me on the mediums were going to be very quick off the start, similar to Spain, but I knew the tyre difference in Suzuka isn't as strong as in Spain. So yeah, I obviously fought him quite hard because I wanted to hold him up for as many laps as possible. But yeah, I was happy just to let him go, to sit at about 2 seconds, conserve my battery. Then after about, I think 5 laps or so, I started gaining on him without using any battery, and then as I was approaching, I started using a bit more battery. I think I was on about 60% and I saw him flashing, and that just gave me a whole shot of adrenaline and confidence to continue pushing on and push past him.
Yep. No, you had a significant advantage, not only in battery but also in straight line speed. We measured you down the straightaway before 130R. There was a solid 10 to 12 kilometre per hour difference between you two in terms of straight line speed. You had a rocket ship in a straight line, and you two battled a little bit at turn 1 as well. Like, that's how fast you were going. You closed in a half-second gap to battle at turn 1. Like, and you managed to pass him too down the inside.
Yeah, took me 2 goes to get past him. The first time, I think he was 6-7 tenths ahead of me when we both crossed the line. But yeah, I just turned on the ERS, DRS and had slipstream, and just my straight line speed was unbelievable. I pulled him in from about 20 car lengths back on the first time. It was a bit of a dodgy send into turn 1, but we both kept it clean. He was very clean. I always like battling him because he always leaves the space, even though it was a bit of a dodgy move on my part. Second move was the one that stuck, and he actually held it around the outside. And I was a bit scared that we may have made contact if I ran and understeered slightly wide into him, but yeah, I just rode the brake all through turn 2 on the sweeper, heading into 3, and managed to stay ahead. And then I knew I had the battery to not let him repass me.
That's right. And you pitted on lap 16, 17, one of those two?
I think it was quite early actually. I think I went on 14.
14, was it?
It was 15, because we did the same lap.
Oh yeah, you two did, didn't you? Bye, Ferrari Pro. But yeah, did you feel that was the right call when you realised the pace difference between you and Ferrari Pro?
Oh yeah, I had full faith in my strategy because I knew that starting on the hards, that the second half of the race was going to be a significant advantage to myself. And I saw Bags pit, I believe, lap 12, and I was going to react to that, but I noticed that he had about 6 seconds in between me and him before the pit stop, so I know that I could go maybe 2-3 laps more, and I think I went 3 laps for the overcut on him, and managed to pull quite a significant gap, and obviously came out the pits, and Ferrari Pro just managed to get me. I feel like if I pitted the lap prior, he wouldn't have undercut me, but it was all good because he made the mistake, and even without his mistake, I feel like I certainly had the pace to just overtake him the next lap once my tyres were warmed up.
But after Ferrari Pro's mistake, you took the lead again, the provisional lead at the time. And after that, was it just keeping the car within the margins, just getting it home at that point?
Yes, certainly. As soon as Ferrari Pro made that mistake, I knew that all I had to do, I had about 70% battery at the time, and tyres were fresh, only about 11 laps to go or so, so I knew that I could just keep it clean. I knew that I'd have a significant tyre advantage until at least the last 2, maybe 3 laps. It would swing into his favour, and I knew my battery was quite I had a lot more saved up than him because when I passed him, he was actually flashing, even though he just pitted.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then the last lap, I had about 50% going into it and managed to pull, I think, 1.1 seconds on the final lap.
Yeah.
So I certainly had a lot more pace in me when I was pushing. But yeah, just wanted to maintain the lead and no silly errors and just bring it home.
KD, have you got anything to ask our race winner?
No, nothing really. Other than congratulations, Marcus. It's just seems like you've been on your A game today, and you've been doing it so far. And good luck to you in Silverstone next week.
Cheers.
Speaking of which, how do you fare heading into next week for the British Grand Prix?
It's a track very similar to Suzuka, as you said before. It's got some straights and some long sweepers. Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel are one of my favourite sequence of corners on the game. Very strong. I feel like it's probably up there with my stronger tracks, and I raced there a couple of weeks ago. Had a fairly strong result, so I don't see why I can't repeat that. Obviously, I'm going to have to watch out for Ferrari Pro, as usual. I'm surprised Silverstone wasn't up there today, because normally he's up there with myself and Ferrari. But yeah, can't be making any errors or fall off the pace, because I know Ferrari Pro will be snapping at my ankles.
Well, no, best of luck then for next week, Marcus. But for now, congratulations on your second win of the season here at the legendary Suzuka circuit. So well done.
Cheers.
But KD, I think this will wrap everything up. Another week in the books here in the Elite Series. And like I said, it was just sort of a race. It was a race that happened. Wasn't the most exciting race in the world, but it had its moments. And it happened all according to plan. So I'd say we did at least one bit better than the real-life Formula 1. But no, I'd just like to thank you, KD, for your services once again in the commentary box.
Anytime, mate.
But I think with the race finally over, it's time for us to end the stream. I've been LaneEveringham. My co-commentator, as always, is KD1997. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for round 8 of the championship at Silverstone Grand Prix circuit for the British Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.